creator and founder of Traffic, Sales, and Profit, and also co-founder of blackandmarriedwithkids.com. We are cross-streaming, right? Simulcasting both of them today because we have a very important conversation I wanted all of our audiences to get a part of as we talk about how to buy the block or buy back our blocks, right? With my good friend, Jullien Gordon. I'm going to bring him on in a second, but before I do, always like to know who is on with us. So do me a favor, drop down into the chat, give me your name, let me know where you're from. If you got a business, let me know what your business is, because this is a great conversation that we're having today. You're going to learn a lot. So make sure you got a pencil, a pen, or pad or something. Drop that in, and then we are going to get popping. Already see people already leaving comments. Thanks for doing that. Let me see what we got. We got people already coming in. Hey, and make sure you tag somebody too. You need to make sure you tag some friends and get some friends in on this conversation. Because this type of thing, you go back to somebody later on and you say, hey, I saw this amazing conversation, and you trying to reshare everything that you heard is not going to work. I want to repeat myself. You trying to reshare everything that you heard, right? I heard this guy, Jullien, and he was talking about this, and this is what we can do, and this is how we can do it. And you trying to tell your husband, your wife, your cousins, your mama, like that is not going to work. It's not going to be part of the process. So go ahead and just tag them. I'm going to give you a second to get them on here to make sure we get them down to the chat. What's up, Judith? Thanks for jumping in. And we're about to have some fun with this conversation. So without further ado, oh, sorry about that. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. Let me tell you guys who we got today. Today, we're joined by a good friend of mine, Jullien Gordon. He's a full-time accredited investor and real estate developer. As the leader of the Multifamily Movement, he teaches thousands of people how to finance, find, and finalize multifamily real estate deals to help them achieve what he calls rent and mortgage freedom. In less than 6 years, Jullien built a personal real estate portfolio of 10 multifamily homes with 30 doors. Check this out, y'all, in Brooklyn, Oakland, and New Orleans. In 2020, he launched the Buy Back Baton Rouge campaign and fund with Anthony Kimball to redevelop the Eddie Robinson Senior Historic District in Mid-City Baton Rouge. They have focused on reclaiming a 12-block neighborhood, 12 blocks, y'all, 12-block neighborhood with hundreds of units, of which high-quality, affordable workforce housing, commercial real estate, and businesses that foster job creation and other amenities like healthcare, food, education, and entertainment. Together, they are raising over $4 million from accredited and sophisticated investors, as well as through crowdfunding. We'll talk about that in a second. They're documenting their journey for anyone to follow along at www.howtobuytheblock.com. Guys, please join me in welcoming my good friend, Jullien Gordon, to the conversation. What's up, Jullien? How are you?
To share this information and knowledge. It's so important to me. It's one thing to be making active income, but the ultimate game to wealth is getting to the passive side. And so just excited to share this with your $46 million in revenue entrepreneur creating community. Like y'all out here winning, right? But at the end of the day, we know that cash is not king in the actual economy. We need cash, but the true queen is an asset. And then from there, asset or queens give birth to kings, which is cash flow. And then that cash flow produces pawns. So we will happily trade these pawns, right? These pawns, we'll happily trade these to get another asset any day that we can. So that's why I've actually delved into real estate. This was not my full-time thing to start off. I didn't know that I would end up here and teaching it at this level to this many people. But I'm happy to, and it's a guaranteed path. I call it the above ground railroad. We all know about the underground railroad, but multifamily real estate is the above ground railroad. It's a path to freedom that anybody can take. And I really want to help, especially those who are entrepreneurs who are making a little bit of cash, figure out how to actually create some passive streams so that they aren't actually vulnerable when economies turn like they have in the past 3 months here.
So let me ask this, Jullien, because you just made a great point, right, about multifamily real estate and the opportunity. And before we jump into what you're doing in Baton Rouge, right, when I first met you, right, years ago at the Schomburg at Blogging While Brown, shout out to Gina. Gina's in the group. And you were speaking on the stage, man. I was like, I just connected with you then, right? I said, this brother's on it. I like people. They got a heart for the people, and they know what they're talking about. But at the time, you weren't like this real estate magnate that you are now, right? Like, how did you transition into having this interest about multifamily real estate? Like, I kind of remember, if I remember right, like online, I remember seeing you like a few years ago getting that first property, and then, getting some in Oakland, I think, and then saying, hey, I'm getting to New Orleans. We moved, like, tell us, I guess, in a short amount of time, like how that transition happened in your own life.
Yep, I'll tell it to you. So, when you met me, I quit my job January 9th, 2009. That's when I left the corporate plantation. And I started my company. And at that time, I was the purpose finder, and I was helping people get clarity on their life purpose. And I was doing workshops in my living room, etc. Infusionsoft had just come out around that time or whatnot. And so I was still learning the digital marketing game. I remember you first telling me about Facebook ads at that conference, and this retargeting and all this stuff. And
Throwback.
to be honest, I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you at that time. And obviously I understand the game now, but I couldn't hear you. You've always been so far advanced, right? So in 2013, I acquired my first property in Brooklyn. It was a 3-family home, and that immediately got me to rent mortgage freedom, meaning that I will never have a housing expense for the rest of my life. I will never have a housing expense for the rest of my life because the tenants on the second and third floor paid not only the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, but all the expenses related to that house, and there was cash flow coming from it as well. So that was really powerful. And the reason why I believe that a multifamily home should be the first asset, especially in an entrepreneur's home and portfolio, is because that gave me so much breathing room, Lamar, to actually take greater risk in my business, because I knew that my housing was already covered. I didn't have to worry about whether or not I was going to be able to pay rent in New York every single month. I knew that I had an asset that was going to cover my housing no matter what, right? So that allowed me to play bigger and take bigger risks in my business, and create in ways that I may not have created if I was in a mindset of scarcity or fear based. And so now, and so you can buy your first property using FHA loan or NACA with 3.5% down for FHA and 0% down for NACA. And so once you get that asset and you immediately achieve rent and mortgage freedom, now you're working on your business or whatnot. And I knew that in order to be a real estate investor, I wasn't going to be able to do that in New York. In New York, the average price of a property there, 3-family, is $1 million. So your second property is actually 25% down. So 25% down on $1 million is $250,000, right? And I know you got entrepreneurs who are cracking that in terms of revenue, but in order to stack that as profit to be able to go invest in real estate, that's a heavy lift, right? So I knew I was going to have to take my money to a smaller market where my money would go longer. And so that's what led me to New Orleans. I bought in New Orleans, and I also bought in Oakland, California, where I'm originally from. And so now I had 7 doors on each coast: Gold Coast, East Coast, West Coast. And as the prices kept increasing in New York, you know what? I decided, look, I want to be a real estate investor and developer, so I'm about to leave New York. So many people are caught up in bondage by living in these expensive markets, and these expensive markets are really just taking 1/3 of their revenue, right? For most people, their housing expense takes about 1/3 of their quote unquote income. But you and I know that income, even though employees get called income, income is not actually what you get from your employer. In a business, income is revenues minus expenses,
Yes.
right? It's revenues minus expenses. So your salary is actually not your income, even though that's what the American dream will tell you it is. Your salary is only your revenues. And then you have all your living expenses. And what's left over at the end of the month, that's your actual income, right? And so when you actually look at income like that, there's people who are making 150 in New York, but they living off of 140. So their income is only $10,000 per year. So we have to be very specific about our language and apply these entrepreneurial principles to our own life design. So I moved to New Orleans a year and a half ago and decided where I knew my money was going to go longer. So I took what I was earning from my original business was speaking, y'all. So again, the workshop started in my living room. Then I started writing. Then I started speaking at colleges. Then I started speaking at companies. And so I had to travel to go eat, right? I had to go leave home to go eat. And I was getting some big checks, and that was great. But, you know, a lot of those people who are in the speaking market now, they wish they would have done what I had done with real estate, because their businesses just went flat. They're over here trying to scramble and create online courses in the last 30 days. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that I already saw this coming, and I knew that I didn't want to be on the road. I didn't want to have to go hunt for my money. I didn't want to have to leave home to go make my money. And so I started taking the profits in my business, leftover profits that I did not know how to invest. But some of you have some great businesses, right? Some of you have some great businesses. If you know how to make this money flip at greater than 15%, then keep pouring it back into your business. Okay? Don't worry about real estate right now. Keep pouring it back to your business, every single dollar. But if there is money left over at the end of the year that you do not know how to flip, right? You've invested what you can in your business and you do not know how to flip it, then that's what I started putting into real estate. that excess. And that's how I started building up that portfolio over time. And now it's 10 properties, 30 doors in 3 different cities across the country. The portfolio is almost $4 million, and it's about $36,000 in revenue per month. So today is the 1st of July. I get happy on the 1st of the month. Most people, most people dread the 1st of the month. I get happy on the 1st of the month. Now, I'll be honest with you. I keep it real with you about real estate. I'm your property brother with an A, okay? And so I don't keep all 36,000 of that. A lot of that goes to principal, interest, taxes, insurance, capex, repair reserve, vacancy rate, etc. But I do keep a good enough proportion that those extra dollars cover all my living expenses. So it's actually been multifamily real estate that has got me to financial freedom. Because remember, financial freedom is when your passive income is greater than your cost of living, not your active income. Financial freedom has to do with passive income. And so there's a lot of folks who are here starting out their businesses. They're doing great on the active income side. There's a lot of people with jobs who are doing great on the active income side. But in order to get to financial freedom, your passive income has to be greater than your cost of living. And so around property 5, my cost of living is not a lot. I don't spend a lot of money, et cetera. So around property 5, I was able to get to financial freedom, and I'm continuing to grow from there.
That's good. So Jullien, let me talk about this, right? You unpacked a lot on them. Somebody's like, you a public speaker. No, I don't believe that, right? Y'all, Jullien is killing it right now. So I love what you talk about. You talked about them taking the money, right? If they got a business or something, like reinvesting that money or having the money left at the end of the year, putting that into real estate, which is a tax advantage of them anyway, right? So they pay less taxes and that helps them as well. But the other thing that stood out to me, what you just talked about, is something I told somebody last week. And it was somebody that was looking to transition and start doing their business full time. And I told them what you just said about real estate is you may have to move. Right? Because it's hard to be an entrepreneur when you live in these places where it take, you and your spouse to make $100,000 just not to live in the hood. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to live as an entrepreneur in some of these spots where it's just like the cost of living is so high. You have to do so much, and there's so much pressure on you from day one out the gate that everything you do has to be a success, or else you'll be out on the street. Unless you have, something like Jullien's talking about right here. So I love that point, man.
Yep, 100%. So for those who are about to transition, please do not, if you are in position to get financing for a multifamily home, please go get financing and buy that first and then quit your job the next day. Do not quit your job and then go try to get financing, because the banks will not finance you when your new business has no track record whatsoever. So go get financing, close on that multifamily home, then quit your job. The day you get them keys, you can throw up the deuces. But don't try to do it the other way around. It's going to be an uphill battle for you. So,
and Jullien, that actually could be a great part of a exit strategy, right? Because like you said, now you got that multifamily home. Not only have we hopefully moved somewhere, got somewhere where, cost of living is low and it's not costing us as much, but now we don't have our mortgage or rent or whatever hanging over our head as well, because we got those other units helping to cover that actual cost, which is a lot of times what I'm sure you probably know, but that's a big percentage of what we pay every month is for our actual housing and where we live at.
Yeah, one third is typically the average for Americans. So the benefits of multifamily real estate is fourfold from a financial standpoint. So first, you get the cash flow from the property. That's what's left over after principal, interest, taxes, insurance, capex, repair reserve, and vacancy rate, right? Then from there, you have principal pay down by the tenants. You're not paying down the debt. Somebody else is paying down your debt. So that's number 2. Then you have appreciation. Properties typically appreciated about 3% per year. So you have appreciation of that property just because you bought it. And then on top of that, then there's the tax benefits. So because you get to depreciate this property over 27.5 years, now you're reducing your tax liability because you get to take that deduction and every expense related to that property. You get to deduct that from your money. So that's the benefit, the 4 benefits of multifamily real estate. So it's a huge financial, there's financial upside that you can't even see beyond the cash flow that is critical. When you actually add those other things in, Lamar, so my target at bare minimum is 15% cash on cash return. Right? 15% cash on cash return means that my money is flipping about every 5 years. In a bank account, a Bank of America, it's 0.03% you're getting on your money in a Bank of America, right? If you take the rule of 72 divided by 0.03, it'll take you 2,400 years to double your money in Bank of America savings account. 2,400 years. But if you're able to flip it at 15%, that money's doubling every 5 years. So we want to get all of our money out of savings and we want to get it into play. And if you are in your prime, if you are in your 30s and 40s, you're in your prime, this is when you want to get it. This is not a time to be saving money. You cannot save your way to wealth. So you want to build your business, and then you want to take any excess and put that into a long-term asset that's going to provide you with passive income. And that's just been my approach for the past 7 years, and it's come out pretty well.
All right, y'all. Hey, if you're just joining us real quick, my name is Lamar Tyler, creator and founder of Traffic Sales and Profit. Also co-founder of Black and Married with Kids. We're simulcasting to both platforms right now on Facebook, on YouTube, and a bunch of other places. And I'm joined today by my good friend Jullien Gordon. Jullien is real estate, multifamily guru, right? And he's here dropping dimes. If y'all enjoying the conversation so far, like drop something in the comments for me that shares how much you're enjoying it. Give me some flames, some fire, some hand claps, some fist up, right? If you think this is a revolution of financial empowerment going on right now, whatever that may be, drop it down to the chat. I want to know that y'all are enjoying this. So Jullien, as they do that, right? Let's talk about what you're doing in Baton Rouge. Because a few weeks ago, you hit me up. I don't know if I just got dropped in the group, but I was like, man, what is this, right? I'm like, Jullien then took it to other level. What are you doing in Baton Rouge, right? Like, what's going on in that city? And just give the people listening some details on what's happening with that.
Yeah, 100%. So in Baton Rouge, my brother Anthony Kimball and I, we are actually leading the Buy Back Baton Rouge Fund, and we are raising $2 million to actually develop about 12 blocks within the Eddie Robinson Senior Historic District there. You know, a lot of people talk about buying back the block, and buying back the block is great. And Anthony has already bought back the block in the Bywater here in New Orleans, so we already have a demonstration. Now we're just playing a bigger game. He's originally from Baton Rouge, and we found a neighborhood that has been divested. 3 things that caused it to be divested. 1, the interstate system, the 110, got pushed through that neighborhood. That's the first thing that the government does to negatively affect our communities. Then after that, integration happened. So people stopped going to the all Black Lincoln Hotel and the all Black Lincoln Theater, and they started going to the white theater. So that's just Black people trying to be white, right? Then on top of that, then the black flight followed white flight. Again, the middle class Black folks trying to be white, trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? And so then that wealth left the community, and now this community is left with a whole bunch of rundown properties, blighted properties, vacant lots, etc. And the beautiful thing about this space is that it's positioned right between work and wealth. You're seeing on the screen right now some of the properties that we have. We've acquired about $2 million of real estate in the past 60 days. This is our Jullien Street property where there's going to be 12 multifamily units there. We have 7 properties that are actually at the 4 corners of this neighborhood, and we are raising funds to develop them. Now, I will be clear just for SEC guidelines that this is not an offer to invest at this moment in time. But you can learn from our journey by going to howtobuytheblock.com. Again, that's howtobuytheblock.com. Eventually, we're going to have, we actually are filing our SEC paperwork, and down the line, we will be able to crowdfund and accept investment from anybody who's interested in actually buying back a neighborhood, not just a block.
I mean, so this is phenomenal. And I tell you, like, I got in a group. Everybody make sure you get a hold of the group, right? Let's throw it up there one more time.
Yeah, it's there.
Howtobuytheblock.com. And I just want to encourage y'all to go get a hold of it. As soon as I came into the group, I saw the video footage. I'm always like following along because as you're in the group, right, y'all, they are showing you what they're walking through, what they're showing. They're doing stuff with the city. They're doing stuff with potential investors. They're showing you like what they rehab. You guys are showing like the plans of the building and getting feedback for what people want to see and what they think should happen in the actual group. And I think it's phenomenal to be able to basically hold people's hands who have never been through any of these processes and take them along the path and the journey as y'all do something historic. And I'll tell you, like, the first thing that blew me away is one of the first videos I saw when you and Anthony were out on one of the streets. You say, hey, this is like the house right here we want to buy. And we're trying to get it, maybe they wanted too much money. It was a vacant. But you said, we own all of this on this side of this house, all of this on that side of the house. And I was like, they literally got a block. You know what I'm saying? Like they literally got a block. And man, that just was so encouraging to me.
Yeah. So the beautiful thing about Baton Rouge, we believe that real estate is going to shift to these least less expensive markets, these secondary markets. We already talked earlier on this show about these expensive markets like New York and San Francisco. Well, if more and more people can now work from home and that actually becomes the culture, then why would I stay living in an expensive market? Why wouldn't I just go to a place where my cost of living is going to be less? And so Baton Rouge is a secondary market to New Orleans, and we are going to see a flood of people coming from more expensive markets to these smaller markets, and we just want to be ahead of that curve. Right now, we're able to get those properties at very low cost basis, as well as the dirt at low cost basis, about $8 per square foot on the dirt. And from there, we also are leveraging what we call, well, not what we call, what the federal government calls is historic tax credits. So it's historic tax credits we were able to do perhaps like let's say $1 million development, and we are able to get 20% of that back from the federal and 20% back from the state, which is about $400,000 back due to us doing historic tax development. They are called QREs, qualified restoration expenses, and as long as we develop within those guidelines to upkeep the feel and the look of this community and these properties, then the government and the state actually rewards us for doing so, and we're able to monetize those tax credits and give that back as a return to the investor. So this is what makes the deals that we've identified so sweet. The Eddie Robinson Senior Historic District is all historic. So almost every property in there qualifies for what we're doing, and so this is a key part of our strategy. So the way our investors work, our business models work, is we buy a property at a low cost basis. We do the development. We monetize historic tax credits. We pay back our investors a big portion of their initial investment. Then from there, we go get the property occupied, for instance, that 12 unit on Julia Street. Then we go refinancing to a 30-year Fannie or Freddie mortgage. We get a cash out refi on that. We pay back our investors the rest of their money, and then everybody still holds their equity stake. We have all of our money out the deal, and now we're getting dividend payments quarterly. So there's three different payouts that occur, three types of different payouts that occur, and we just believe that we get to restore the old while integrating the new, as well as develop a community, right, and the people in that community, as well as make profit for all the investors that are involved. So it's just a win-win-win-win-win for us. And so we are so excited about what we have going on there. And this has happened in many communities across the country. There's something called the Yellow Book, which actually lays out Eisenhower's interstate system, the interstate system. And the interstates were strategically positioned to go through communities of color that had started accruing wealth. Yep. Right. So that was always the first step. And so Baton Rouge is just one of many different communities like this. You got the Fifth Ward, Third Ward, Houston. You got West Oakland. You got
Auburn Avenue,
you got
right?
New Orleans.
The highway run right over top of Auburn Avenue here in Atlanta. You got Overtown in Miami, right? It's systematic.
It's systematic, man. So, but the beautiful thing is that these communities, you know why they were in such good position is because a lot of the help for the white wealth lived in these communities. So the help couldn't live too far. So these communities, they when you pass it, you're like, why is nobody moving on this space right here? There's downtown Baton Rouge right here, and there's the Garden District, which is white wealth right here, and then there's this community of 200 acres. What happened? And we see that it's actually still in prime position, and now we're going in to redevelop it.
This is powerful. Hey guys, if you got any questions, we got Jullien for a few more minutes. If you can drop your questions down into the chat. Again, my name is Lamar Tyler, creator and founder of Traffic Sales and Profit and co-founder of Black and Married with Kids. We're simulcasting to both platforms today. I'm joined by Jullien Gordon. He is here talking about Buy Back Baton Rouge. And we're having a very valuable conversation, like my man Quade just dropped down in the comments. And I know you guys had some questions earlier. If you got those questions, do me a favor, copy and paste them and drop them down into the chat again below. I know, Jullien, we had one question that came through earlier from Ty Goodwin. Ty Goodwin said, we're talking about people that were working a 9-to-5, right? And then trying to transition to full-time employment or, full-time real estate, whatever. She said, what if you already are an entrepreneur, right? Is this a great opportunity for people that already are entrepreneurs for them to get into multifamily real estate and such?
Yeah, so what's about to happen in the real estate market? The real estate market doesn't correct as quickly as stocks, right? Because stocks are more liquid. So it takes a real estate market like 3 to 6 months to correct and respond to what's actually going on in the community or in the economy. So a lot of owners that bought wrong, there's buying right and there's buying wrong. A lot of owners that bought wrong, so many of them went into forbearance, right? So they go into forbearance for 3 months, and guess when that forbearance is going to end? July, August, September. What's going to happen to the prices? Then it becomes a buyer's market and the prices drop. So if you can acquire one of those assets when the prices drop, you're going to be set up. And here's why. In 2010, at the end of 2010, a single family home in the United States was $208,000, the average single family home. And at the end of 2019, 10 years later, guess what? That same home was worth $324,000. So you would literally be up 116 racks if you would have bought while everybody else was scared. All right. So what I'm trying to prepare people for is this dip in the real estate market, which is going to respond and correct very soon. If you are an entrepreneur, here's what you need to do to get finance. You need to pay yourself monthly. You need to pay yourself monthly. Go ahead and set up a bank of it. You don't have to go through all the payroll, et cetera, but you need to set up a automatic deposit from your company to yourself every 2 weeks. If it has to start off at $1,000 every 2 weeks, then start it off at $1,000. But consistently pay yourself so that when you go for the bank, they look at you and they say, okay, their company is actually supporting them. Now, the banks, if you own the company fully, then the banks will be able to look at your company's tax returns and use that to qualify you. But they will look at the type of business that you have and make sure that you taking out a mortgage isn't actually negatively going to affect the actual company, right? So, yes, the number one thing I encourage entrepreneurs to do is make sure that you pay yourself consistently, because banks are going to the underwriters are going to look at you with more scrutiny than they would somebody with a 9 to 5 job who's actually making less than you.
Let me see. Next question. What's up, Delmar? Delmar said, "Where's the first place to start to learn about real estate investment? Like she just brand new to it. Where should she go?"
You broke up.
I'm
Repeat
sorry.
that.
I said Delmar wanted to know what's the first place she should go to learn about real estate investment if she's brand new to it.
Yeah, you should go to multifamilymasterplan.com. That's multifamilymasterplan.com. Periodically, I do a webinar there where I teach the game on how to finance, find, and finalize multifamily real estate deals. I think I'm freezing up, so I'll repeat that again. Again, that's multifamilymasterplan.com. Did you catch that, Lamar?
Yep, I got it. Came through.
Okay.
All right, perfect. All right, next question. Roz, what's up? Roz said, who, meaning individuals or groups, will be able to invest and buy back Baton Rouge and when? Could you go over that?
Okay, great question. So right now, due to SEC guidelines, Anthony and I can only raise money from friends and family and accredited investors. Accredited investors earn $200,000 or more per year and have a net worth of $1 million. We are actually in the process of applying to the SEC for crowdfunding permission and approval. And the moment that occurs, then anybody will be able to invest in the Buyback Baton Rouge Fund. So again, just to be in compliance with SEC guidelines, this is not a solicitation for investment. We cannot publicly market the fund to investors at this point. But if you stay getting educated with us and build a relationship with us through howtobuytheblock.com and be in that Facebook group, the moment that we get approval from the SEC, we will be happy to consider you.
All right, awesome. I got another question in from George Gilmore. This is a good one. He said, what other secondary markets would you recommend to invest in across the South? Any other markets you got your eye on, Jullien?
Yeah, so Houston, Fifth Ward, Chris Senegal is doing a lot of great work there. Houston, Third Ward. We also like Shreveport, Louisiana, and we like Memphis. So those are some of the places that we're looking at once we do this. But this development in Baton Rouge, it's going to be a 5 to 7 year dedicated journey. But we know that those other communities need us, and we just want to demonstrate and create the model here in Baton Rouge.
Awesome. And Jullien, we didn't talk to up. Gina McCauley is in the chat, right? Gina, we were just saying we met at Blogging While Brown.
Yeah, in New York City.
Right, at the Schaumburg. All right, awesome. Let me take one more question. It's a lot going on. Here's one from Aisha. She said, what about people with a high debt to income who may have had difficulty with FHA and NACA when trying to acquire their first multifamily? Can someone like that still get started, or is there some things they need to do first?
Got you. Yeah. So normally I recommend NACA, but she said FHA and NACA. So if NACA turning you down, then that DTI is off the hook, right? So that's all right. No shame. But yeah, there's besides that, get very clear about what your DTI needs to be to get approved through NACA, and just focus on paying down the highest monthly debt payment. So most of the time people say pay down the highest interest rate, and in normal circumstances I would if you weren't trying to get financing. We want to try to get that highest monthly payment off so that your DTI goes down. All right. So yeah, there's no way around that, y'all, except NACA would be the best route. But if NACA's saying no, then we got some work to do.
Awesome. That was gonna be the last one, but I got one that's even better. I know you want this question, Jullien. I got a few accredited investors in the chat to say, how can the accredited investors get a hold of you?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm sure y'all, Jullien don't mind. He might have been about to go, but he's gonna stick around for a second to answer that question.
Yeah. You talking that big money. And so first and foremost, we just want to celebrate you. I celebrate Lamar all the time. I ask myself, who has created more millionaires in our community besides maybe Jay-Z? And to me, Lamar has got to be up there top 10. You know what I'm saying? So for those of you who have been following his guidance and under his leadership, and have killed it, and not killed it, brought it to life in such a way that it's allowing you to have so much abundance, I want to celebrate you. I'll give you my personal email. Again, this is only for accredited investors. Everyone else can either DM me or DM me or message me on Facebook. But for the accredited investors, the email address is jullien.gordon GORDON @gmail.com. Again, that's jullien.gordon GORDON
All right, y'all, and there we have it. Make sure you connect with Jullien. I'm excited about what they're doing, man. Again, kudos to you and your partner, Anthony, man. Y'all are doing something special. I got to get to Baton Rouge myself and see what's going on down there.
Yeah. Come on out. We do investor tours every week when folks come in. Like I just did one. You saw the video.
Yep.
Had somebody come from Florida to come see what they're about to invest in. So it's really exciting. And these are like tangible assets. You know, some .coms and things of that nature, those businesses, they can evaporate quickly. But this real estate, it ain't going nowhere. And as long as there's human beings on the face of this earth, people are always going to need housing. I say that multifamily real estate is the most proven business model of all time. If you think about the feudal system was in 900 AD in Europe. And in the feudal system, kings gave land to lords in exchange for loyalty, right? So where do you think the word landlord came from? It came from the feudal system, right? So this business model is literally 1,100 years old. I can't guarantee you that Amazon will be around 1,100 years from now. I can't guarantee that Facebook going to be around 1,100 years from now. But as long as human beings are on the face of this earth, multifamily real estate will still be here 1,100 years from now, and it'll be more valuable than ever, especially if our population keeps expanding and increasing. So this is why I encourage you to put some of your assets into this proven business model. And what it has done for me is allowed me to take greater risk in my business, because I know that these hardcore tangible assets are behind me and will support me even if I take a risk and it doesn't work out. So yeah, come join us and learn right now. Don't join us yet. For those of you who are not accredited, come learn at howtobuytheblock.com. Howtobuytheblock.com. That's our free Facebook group where you can learn the journey.
All right, y'all. And real quick, somebody said is when it froze up, they missed the information for accredited investors. Accredited investors only. Can you give me your email address one more time?
Yeah, it's Jullien, Jullien.Gordon, GORDON @gmail.com. That's Jullien, Jullien.Gordon, GORDON @gmail.com.
All right, there you have it, folks. Everybody else, make sure you go to howtobuytheblock.com. Join the Facebook group. There's a lot of information you can follow along to see what they're doing in Baton Rouge. It truly is amazing. Y'all doing a great job. Again, Jullien, man, appreciate you as always. Thanks for taking the time to come on. And any way I can help, just holler at me. Let me know.
Thank you. Already helped enough, but thank you, brother.
Awesome. All right. And for everybody's watching, again, my name is Lamar Tyler, creator and founder of Traffic Sales and Profit, co-founder of blackandmarriedwithkids.com. I'm excited to have you here. Make sure you join our free Facebook group, Traffic Sales and Profit with Lamar Tyler, where we have a community of purpose-driven entrepreneurs in the Black community that are pushing to show that Black excellence is the standard, that are pushing to create jobs and economic impact in our community, and we pushing to create wealth so we can funnel it all into these multifamily properties, right? All right, y'all, have a great day. We'll see you inside the group. Peace.